Welcome to Simply Explain All, where we unravel the most complex political mysteries and turn them into clear, engaging, visual stories. Have you ever wondered why the most powerful government on Earth sometimes simply turns off the lights and locks the doors? This phenomenon is known as a government shutdown, a recurring nightmare that paralyzes the nation and affects millions of innocent lives. Imagine a massive machine that suddenly stops working because the operators cannot agree on how much fuel to put inside it. To understand this mess, we must look at the core cause, which begins with the annual budget approval process in Congress. Think of the national budget not as complicated numbers, but as a giant pile of bananas that keeps the government fed. The red team and the blue team must agree on how to share these bananas before the fiscal year officially begins. The deadline is strictly set, and if they cannot reach an agreement by that specific date, the entire system shuts down. When the clock strikes midnight without a deal, the flow of money stops instantly, leaving the government machinery completely without power. This is not just a pause. It is a full stop that ripples across the country, turning off lights from coast to coast. Let us simplify this further by imagining a household where the parents are fighting loudly about the monthly family spending money. The child, represented here as a little monkey, just wants to go to school and live a normal, happy daily life. Because mom and dad cannot agree on the allowance, they decide to freeze all funds, leaving the child with absolutely nothing. The innocent child has to go to school without lunch money, suffering because the leaders of the house refuse to compromise. In the real world, this child represents the millions of government agencies and public services that suddenly have zero operating budget. The first visible sign of this failure is often the closure of beloved national parks, turning away tourists and disappointed families. Museums that hold our history and culture lock their doors, denying the public access to the heritage they pay to maintain. Millions of federal employees are sent home, told they are non-essential and cannot work until the politicians resolve their differences. For these workers, the shutdown means missed paychecks, creating immediate financial stress and uncertainty about how to pay for rent and food. However, there is another group of workers who face an even more difficult situation during these periods of political gridlock. Essential workers, like air traffic controllers, must continue to show up and ensure the safety of the skies without being paid. Border Patrol agents and security personnel remain on the front lines, protecting the nation while their own bank accounts remain empty. They are forced to work for free, with only a promise that they will be paid back whenever the government reopens. This creates an immense moral burden, as these patriots serve their country while struggling to feed their own families at home. Meanwhile, the debate in Congress continues, often disconnected from the immediate reality faced by the workers keeping the country running. It is important to note that members of Congress continue to receive their salaries, even while the rest of the government halts. Public frustration boils over as citizens gather to protest, demanding that their leaders do their jobs and restore normal operations. History shows us that these shutdowns have happened before, but they were usually temporary pauses before a compromise was eventually reached. However, the scenario we are facing in 2025 is fundamentally different and potentially much more dangerous for the workforce. Enter the figure we will call Uncle Don, who views this shutdown not as a failure, but as a strategic opportunity. Reports suggest that the plan this time is to use the shutdown as a tool to permanently shrink the government size. Instead of just pausing operations, the goal is to identify which parts of the system can be cut off forever. The distinction between essential and non-essential workers becomes a weapon, used to determine who keeps their job and who does not. Those labeled non-essential face the terrifying possibility that they may never be called back to work even after the budget passes, This strategy aims to reduce federal spending by simply eliminating the positions of those who were sent home during the shutdown. It is a radical approach to reshaping the government, using the chaos of a budget crisis to force structural changes immediately. For the average worker, this adds a layer of fear that goes far beyond just missing a few weeks of pay. Legal experts and unions are scrambling to understand if such a move is even legal under current United States employment laws. The disruption extends to private companies that rely on government contracts, causing a ripple effect throughout the entire national economy. Construction projects stall because permits cannot be issued, leaving private sector workers without jobs just like their federal counterparts. Critical scientific research is interrupted, potentially setting back progress in medicine and technology by months or even years of lost time. Farmers who rely on federal loans and subsidies to buy seeds for the next season are left stranded without support. The most vulnerable populations suffer when administrative offices that process benefits and assistance programs are shuttered indefinitely. While the country struggles, the political elite continue to dine in luxury, insulated from the consequences of their own decisions. The contrast between the decision-makers and the people affected creates a deep sense of injustice and social inequality in America. Middle-class families face the very real threat of foreclosure and bankruptcy, losing everything they have worked so hard to build. Cars are repossessed and credit scores are ruined, damage that will take years to repair even after the government reopens. Trust in the stability of the government erodes, making citizens feel like pawns in a high-stakes game of political chess. The symbol of American democracy is tarnished, showing the world that the system is currently too broken to function properly. Basic services that we take for granted begin to fail, turning clean cities into chaotic environments filled with uncollected waste. The tourism industry takes a massive hit as visitors cancel their trips, fearing they will be stuck in a paralyzed country. Small businesses surrounding government buildings lose their daily customers, forcing many of them to close their doors for good. Financial markets react with volatility, as investors hate uncertainty and pull their money out of the American economy. Inside the halls of power, the pressure mounts as the administration tries to manage the fallout without admitting total defeat. Uncle Don remains steadfast, framing the chaos as a necessary pain to cure the sickness of a bloated government bureaucracy. The nation becomes even more divided, with some supporting the harsh measures while others see it as a cruel attack. Social media becomes a battleground where stories of personal hardship clash with political propaganda from both sides of the aisle. Veterans, who serve their country with honor, find themselves caught in the middle, facing delays in their essential healthcare services. Charities and food banks are overwhelmed by the sudden influx of government workers who never thought they would need assistance. Communities try to come together to support their neighbors, filling the gap left by the absence of federal safety nets. The heartbeat of the nation slows down as the uncertainty of the shutdown casts a long shadow over daily life. As the days turn into weeks, the resilience of the American people is tested to its absolute breaking point. Behind closed doors, exhausted negotiators try to find a middle ground that can satisfy both the red and blue factions. Draft after draft is written and rejected, as the definition of what is essential continues to be debated fiercely. Eventually, the pressure becomes too great to ignore, and a tentative deal is usually struck to reopen the government. The gears of the machine begin to turn again, and the lights flicker back on. But the damage has been done. Workers return to their desks. But in 2025, many may find that their positions no longer exist at all. The economy will recover, but the trust between the government and its employees has been shattered, leaving a permanent scar. Citizens are left wondering when the next shutdown will occur, living in a constant state of low-level political anxiety. Because the underlying issues are rarely solved, we are often just resetting the clock for the next inevitable crisis. We have seen how a fight over bananas, like parents arguing over allowance, can spiral into a national strategy for downsizing. The true story of a government shutdown is not about politicians, but about the resilience of the everyday people who survive it. This chapter of history serves as a stark reminder of what happens when political ideology clashes with the reality of governance. We can only hope that future leaders will learn to share the bananas without holding the entire country hostage. The machine runs once more, but it has been altered, perhaps forever, by the ambition to make it smaller and leaner. It forces us all to ask a difficult question. How prepared are we if the systems we rely on suddenly stop? Take a moment to think about the stability of your own life and the invisible forces that keep it running smoothly. These stories of struggle and power are happening right now, and understanding them is the first step towards demanding better. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the mechanics of power, money, and the human cost of politics. If you found this explanation helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to support our mission of simplifying the world. Don't forget to check out our other videos where we break down global economics and history into simple, bite-sized stories. This has been Simply Explain All. Stay curious, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video. Even in the toughest times, there is always a little bit of hope to be found if you look closely enough. Time marches on, and governments will continue to evolve, but the power of knowledge will always remain in your hands. From the halls of Washington to your living room, everything is connected in this complex web we call modern society. We strive to light a candle in the dark, helping you navigate the confusing headlines and understand the truth behind them. Our team works tirelessly to bring you these insights, and your viewership is the fuel that keeps our machine running. Remember that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people requires the people to pay attention. Storms may come and go, but the sky always clears eventually, bringing new opportunities for growth and better understanding. By watching this video, you have planted a seed of knowledge that will help you better understand the world around you. The world is a library of endless stories waiting to be told, and we are honored to be your guides. The road ahead may be uncertain, but with clarity and understanding, we can navigate any obstacle that comes our way. Just like a forest regenerates after a fire, our society has the capacity to heal and rebuild after every crisis. Current events are just ripples in the river of history, flowing towards the vast ocean of our collective human experience. We encourage you to always look closer, ask questions, and never settle for a superficial understanding of important issues. When we understand how the gears turn, we are no longer afraid of the machine, but empowered to fix it. Let knowledge be your lighthouse in the fog of politics, guiding you safely to the shores of truth and reason. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today to explore this fascinating and critical topic of government shutdowns. We believe that understanding is the bridge that can connect us all, regardless of our political views or backgrounds. At the heart of every policy are real people, and remembering that humanity is the most important lesson of all. Let us work together to paint a picture of a future where stability and cooperation are the norm, not the exception. Every ending is just a new beginning, and we look forward to exploring more stories with you in the future. Your attention creates ripples of awareness that can spread far and wide, influencing the world in positive ways. Share this video with someone who needs to understand this topic and help us grow our community of curious minds. Discussion and debate are healthy, so please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments section down below. We read every comment and love hearing your perspectives on how these government policies affect your life and community. A special thank you goes out to our loyal community members who support us in creating high-quality educational content. Creating these explanations is a labor of love, and we appreciate you being a part of the Simply Explain All family. Our time for today is coming to an end, but the learning never stops if you keep your mind open. The universe is full of mysteries, and we are dedicated to solving them one simple explanation at a time. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep asking why, because the world is always more interesting than it seems. Until next time, this has been your guide to the complex world of politics, simplified for everyone to understand. Simply Explain All. Signing off. See you in the next video. Goodbye, and take care of yourselves.